Well folks, we have of course waited and kept the best till last with the November update in GT7 for the mighty 1996 S14 Nissan Silvia K's Aero, but the simple fact for this review is there's really not much in it between this one and the other S14. In fact, as far as the specs go, in some ways they're almost identical. Price-wise, they're both 60,000, both from, of course, the used dealer. The performance points are almost exactly the same. This one is 476.26. The previous one, at least at the time that I reviewed it, was 476.86, so technically a little bit better, but that might have changed since the new update changes things and updates in the meantime. The weight is the one significant difference between the two, and interestingly, it's actually better on the older one. The one which we already had added in the previous update was 1220 kilos, this one is 1250. So, with of course a front engine rear-wheel drive platform, turbo aspirated, and for those who are curious, a very similar array of visual upgrades, be it the wide body, the wings, etc., with some variation, but still you pretty much know what to expect, and you can see some of those visual modifications on mine here. It really is, as simple as this review will be, it really is a case of just deciding, do you want the car which is slightly lighter, or do you want the car which you might consider to be slightly better looking? Because from the back, they're pretty similar. From the side, they're pretty similar. From the front is really the main change. So if you prefer a rounder, softer look, then go for the one that we already had. And if you prefer a slightly newer looking, sharper looking, more aggressive looking car, then I would say probably go for this one. I think of the two, I would probably prefer this one, even with the 30 kilo weight discrepancy, at least stock. In terms of performance though, feel free to correct me if you found some kind of weird glitch with the car, but it doesn't seem like it's the world-shattering, decision to make between the two that you might expect it to be. The reality is, who would have ever expected it to be that kind of decision? It's not like one has all-wheel drive or one has a supercharger instead. It would have been interesting if it were that kind of difference, but this really is an occasion where it's about as close to being a duplicate as you can get, while technically being a different model. And again, cars like this really do just feed into the video that I made a while back, which was fairly controversial, and I knew it would be, about just doing one massive update where we get all the cars like this in one go, and then we never need to do it again. Some people reeled against the idea and said that they hated the idea of having like 200 cars added in one update that were all just duplicates, and yet I would ask those same people, well, do you prefer this then? Do you like only having 3 cars in a month and then literally 30% of that update being a duplicate, or at the very least, such as on this occasion, a vehicle which for all intents and purposes may as well be a duplicate even if it technically isn't? To me, I would prefer to get them all out of the way, and if you are going to do it, get loads of them out of the way. But I guess it just depends on personal preference. In terms of how it actually performs, well, again, it's an S14 Silvia, so you pretty much know what to expect. You definitely know what to expect if you've played Gran Turismo for any length of time. The Silvia falls into a similar category as vehicles like the Mazda RX-8, maybe, a Toyota, what's the Toyota I'm thinking of? Not the Starlet, not the Sora. It was the Levin, I think it might have been, the updated version of the Levin that nobody really talks about, which was back in Gran Turismo 6, that was a little bit Honda Integra-ish in its visuals. These vehicles which are very easy to overlook. Honda Prelude is another example, even though that one's more popular than the others I mentioned. But these cars that are not as obvious as your Skylines, Supras, RX-7s maybe, but they're equally good in different ways. So of course it's a fantastic drift car, but also, as I said about the other S14, a really good circuit car. So if you wanted to build this as a track day toy, you absolutely could. Turn it into a little like old school LM race car style build, absolutely. Engine swap wise, vehicles like this are always a pretty safe bet to get good power out of, be it a Lexus SC430 swap or whatever the case may be with a different car. For me, this is easily the car that was the least interesting. I know for JDM fans you'll be glad to have it, but compared to the BMW M2 and how great that is, compared to the Sierra and how long-standing of a fan favourite that was to add to the game, and of course compared to having Road Atlanta finally included, this one for me is kind of the more, not weak point of the update, but kind of just grey. It's not particularly great, and certainly not bad. It just kind of is. It's there, it's something to have, I guess, but it's not going to rock your world, or at least it doesn't for me. Overall though, that's it for my thoughts on this newer variation of the Silvia. Tell me yours down below. Do you totally disagree? Think this is the best thing since sliced bread and better than the other one? Or are you disappointed with it? And also weigh in with your thoughts on that other video as well if you haven't watched it already, about adding all duplicates in one go. I will be producing more Gran Turismo 7 content in the coming days and weeks, and I will urge you to definitely stick around on the channel over the next few days and weeks, because I have some very special videos coming. A video probably tomorrow, which will be very controversial. A video sometime later this week, more of a countdown style video, which will probably also be controversial, but I believe a lot of people will agree with points in. And coming soon, I have a very special series of videos within Gran Turismo 7, something which came to me as an idea. I've already discussed it on the Discord for the channel, something which I think many of you are probably going to like. At the very least, that you'll probably find quite amusing of an idea, if not actually love the series itself. So as of next week, unless something changes, as well as possibly seeing the Ferrari Vision GT drop in the game, I would stick around this weekend for a teaser trailer of what's to come, and then next week for the actual content therein. But aside from that, you'll have to guess what you think's coming on the channel, and of course I will hope to see you there. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.